Alex Christopher Ewing. Alex Ewing was a drifter that lived in Colorado in the 1980s, working jobs in construction and plumbing. All of a sudden, in the middle of January 1984, he up and moved. He told people he left Denver because it was too cold. He hitchhiked out of town with the intentions of heading to Las Vegas, but he ended up 100 miles southeast of Las Vegas in Kingman, Arizona. January 27, 1984, he broke into a man's house, and while he was asleep, he hit the man in the head with a 25-pound piece of granite stone and then ran from the man's home. The man was alive and called the police right away, and they found Alex Ewing hiding in a bush not far from the scene. The man he hit with the rock needed over 100 stitches. The Kingman jail was overcrowded, so Alex Ewing was transported to the St. George jail in Utah to await trial. 7 months later, in August 1984, Alex Ewing and 10 other inmates were being transferred back to Kingman, Arizona from Utah. When they stopped in Henderson, Nevada to let the inmates use the bathroom, they were uncuffed and unchained. When he got the chance, Alex Ewing ran to a nearby Kmart and changed clothes and ran out of the store and got away. The guards didn't realize he was gone until they loaded the inmates back on the bus. That same night, he broke into the home of Christopher and Nancy Berry. While they were asleep, he beat Christopher unconscious. Nancy woke up and called 911. She fought back and tried to block the blows. Alex Ewing kept swinging and broke both of her arms and both of her wrists. The 911 operator could hear the attack. She played dead so he would stop beating her, and he did, then he left. Christopher and Nancy Berry both survived the attack, and when Nancy was shown a photo of Alex Ewing, she identified him as the man that attacked them. He was arrested 2 days later. The charges for hitting the man with the rock in Arizona were dropped, and instead he was charged for attacking Christopher and Nancy Berry in Nevada, where he escaped. He went on trial in 1985. He was found guilty of first-degree attempted murder and sentenced to 8 to 40 years in prison in Nevada. He would have been able to apply for parole in the year 2021, but recently, in July 2018, his DNA was linked to some cold cases in Colorado from 1984, which is where he lived at the time, and he is now facing 18 new charges ranging from rape to assault and 3 counts of first-degree murder. When he was confronted about his DNA being left at crime scenes, he said there must have been a mistake, but the chances of that are 1 in 23 quadrillion. After police were able to link his DNA to the unsolved crimes in Colorado, here is the timeline of the crimes that took place. On January 4th, 1984, in Aurora, Colorado, he broke into the home of James and Kimberly Hobbingfield. He beat both of them into a coma with a hammer, but both of them survived the attack. 5 days later, on January 9th, he attacked a 28-year-old flight attendant named Donna Dixon. When she arrived home from work and got out of her car inside her garage, he hit her in the head several times with a hammer and slammed her head into the wheel well of her tire, and then he raped her and left her for dead. Her boyfriend ended up finding her body in the garage. Doctors said she most likely survived because of the cold temperatures, which slowed down her bleeding. It took her several months to learn how to speak again. The next day, on January 10th, in Lakewood, Colorado, he killed 50-year-old Patricia Smith. Her body was found by her daughter in the house that they lived in together, along with Patricia's 2 grandchildren. She had been hit in the head with a hammer at least 17 times. She was also raped, and her body was posed like she was in a coffin with her arms crossed on her chest. She worked close to home as an interior decorator. Detectives believed on her lunch break she purchased some fast food and went home to eat it, and when Alex Ewing knocked at the door, he attacked her when she opened it. 5 days later, on the night of January 15th, he broke into the home of the Bennett family through an unlocked garage door. The family consisted of 27-year-old Bruce Bennett, 26-year-old Deborah Bennett, their 7-year-old daughter Melissa, and their 3-year-old daughter Vanessa. The next morning, Bruce and Deborah didn't show up to work at their family-owned furniture store, so Bruce's mother drove to their house to check on them, and that's when she discovered their bodies. Bruce, his wife Deborah, and their 7-year-old daughter Melissa were dead. Their 3-year-old daughter Vanessa was badly injured, but she was still alive. Bruce was hit in the head at least 16 times with a hammer, and then his throat was slit. Deborah and Melissa were beaten in the head with the hammer, and both of them were raped. Vanessa's jaw was shattered, and she was left with permanent scars on her face. This was the last known hammer attack, and nobody was ever charged with the crimes. But over the years, police connected the crimes to each other through DNA left at the scenes, but they were not able to connect the DNA to a killer. After murdering the 3 members of the Bennett family, this is when Alex Christopher Ewing left town, headed towards Las Vegas, but ended up in Arizona, hit the man with the rock, was arrested, transferred to Utah to await trial. On the way back to Arizona from Utah, escaped the prison bus in Nevada, which is where he attacked Christopher and Nancy Berry, which he was convicted of and sent to prison in Nevada. Over the years, after different laws were passed that caused anyone convicted of a felony to provide a DNA sample for the Criminal Apprehension Database, police came up with a hit. On July 11, 2018, Colorado authorities were notified that they had a DNA match for the 1980s Hammer murders. The DNA belonged to 58-year-old Alex Christopher Ewing, who was already serving time in a Nevada prison for attacking the couple when he escaped from the prison bus, which is where he was when cold case detectives got a hit on his DNA for the unsolved Colorado Hammer murders. Alex Christopher Ewing is currently in a Nevada prison fighting extradition back to Colorado to face these new charges.